Sound check. All right, cool. All right. I'm going to be doing a test that was recommended to me yesterday by someone in the chat. What's it called? Let me just check. SappyValues. Apparently, it's like a mixture of the political compass and 8 values. Just let some people join. Re-smoke for 2029. How are you doing, my friend? Mogtastic. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Oh, piss off. This isn't a real person, is it? That's definitely not a real person. Political compass test that combines questions of the Sappy test with a UI of 8 values. You will be presented by a statement. Strongly agree, strongly disagree. 46 questions. A few questions have been reworded. All right. I just want to see. Let's just see if there's any news. Time is running out for nuclear deal. Sick. Maduro is not a guy you can make a deal with, says Rubio. What? Baron Trump was assaulted in the UK. What? Oh, Baron Trump notified the police. Okay, fair enough. I thought Baron Trump had been assaulted. I was going to say. Fair enough. Yeah. I failed year 4. Man guilty of assault after Baron Trump reported attack to UK police. Yeah, that's my bad. All right, let me just start this test. There's not many people in here, but doesn't matter. You'll be presented with a series of statements. So each one, click the button with your opinion on it. Proceed shuffled, proceed unshuffled. What's the difference? Shuffle. I'll just go shuffled, I guess. Authority figures, if morally correct, are a good thing for society. Yes. Yes. Strongly agree or agree? I think strongly agree. I think we should have authority figures. I believe in the government. And if they are morally correct, then that is an overall good thing. I assume. Yeah. The smaller the government, the freer the people. The smaller the government, the freer the people. No, not necessarily. No, I don't believe in this. I don't think the bigger the government necessarily the freer the people. Obviously, it's how that government acts. But I think the smaller the government, the higher risk, the weaker the safety nets, the weaker the national industries. No. So I'll go disagree with this. That's for people who want to gut the government and have everybody fighting each other. What is for people? A small government or a big government? Who want the government? Yeah, neutral. Well, neutral on this one. The police were not created to protect the people, but to uphold the status quo by force. You're neutral on this. The police were not created to uphold the people, but to uphold the status quo by force. No, I think, I actually think I might be neutral as well. I think I agree with you, Fuad. Yeah, I feel as though, on one hand, they want to protect the people from people who want to break the status quo. So they want both things, right? They want to maintain the status quo, which is supposed to also protect the people. It's mainly to uphold the status quo. I could agree with you on that. I think I'm going to agree with Kate. I think it is slightly, maybe mainly more to uphold the status quo, because they do act in the interest of the authorities that implement them, and there is clear bias sometimes in not necessarily police, but just in law enforcement and in the law, towards people in authority and people in power, towards the working class, towards poor individuals. The police were not created to protect people. So yeah, I'm going to agree with this, slightly agree. Although I can see Fuad's point, and I do think it is both sides. If it were otherwise, they wouldn't block reform to focus more on community policing and social work. Yeah, Fez. Multiculturalism is bad. No, multiculturalism is not bad in itself. I don't think multiculturalism is bad. I think the negatives that come in a multicultural society are not due to multiculturalism. It's down to so many other factors. So, no, strongly disagree. In times of crisis, safety becomes more important than civil liberties. See, I strongly agree with this. I genuinely, I do agree. I know that's controversial with a lot of people nowadays, but I do agree that in times of crisis, I don't mind losing some civil liberties. Yeah, obviously, I don't want to be on house arrest, but in a crisis, Sinister Savile says NPC. Thanks for the addition to the conversation, mate. Yeah, I'm going to go strongly agree. Class is the primary division of society. Again, I strongly agree with this. Unless somebody can come up with a greater division in society, with a bigger conflict than class, I just don't see it. Yeah, agree. Yeah, I think I strongly agree. There's a question on the political compass which asks whether class is a bigger aspect of conflict than nationality. And I was having a debate with somebody, but it's so obviously class that's the outlying factor in unequal ways of life. We're all Marxists, we just don't know it yet. I don't think even the furthest of right-wing people can deny Marxist critiques. They just deny the solution that Marxism proposes. Economic inequality is too high in the world. Strongly agree. Strongly agree. I don't think that's really debatable, and it's getting larger. There's a trillionaire before poverty has ended. Yeah, but there's a trillionaire before, not even just before poverty has ended, bro. Before inequality is even shrunk to a manageable distance. Poverty ending is like we're getting so far away from that goal that it just seems so unrealistic. But the fact that there is going to be a trillionaire, and the fact that that's not unrealistic, just shows the direction we're headed in. Economic inequality exists due to some cultures just being better. I just completely disagree with that. And there's no evidence for what you've just said. You've just made a statement. What cultures are better? Why ought we be equal? I don't even think we have to be equal, bro, in terms of everybody having the same exact amount of bread and pasta. But I mean, I'm talking about inequality which is manageable and doesn't squeeze out the middle class and working class from a capitalist society where they can't buy houses, they can't buy produce, and then therefore that also does hurt big businesses, because then they have to raise prices because there's less consumers to actually buy the products. So if inequality is low, not necessarily zero inequality, but if there's low inequality and the middle class and working class can be active participants in a materialist society, that is how you find the sweet spot. Victimless crime should still be punished. I agree. I mean, what's a victimless crime like? Because even theft doesn't directly hurt somebody, but there is a victim. So that's obviously not a victimless crime. So like drug use maybe, but you could say like down the line there could always be a victim to a crime. Because crime mostly is just something that hurts society. So I might be stupid. Drug possession, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But like you could make an argument that you taking drugs reinforces the drug system, the industry, which hurts people and has victims. But I'll go agree. I think that's what it means. I'm just overthinking it. Neutral because needs a warning but punishment after second or third strike. Yeah, but even a warning, I guess, it's not a punishment, is it? But I mean, yeah, I still want to enforce the law. Manslaughter because there's no victims left. What do you mean? How do you justify forcefully taking wealth from others? What do you mean by that? Are you talking about tax? Please don't tell me you're talking about tax, bro. I think Aaron's rage baiting. Wages are always fair as employers know best what a worker's labor is worth. Wages are always fair as employers know best what a... I think that's phrase wrong. But I think he's talking about tax. Yeah, I appreciate you for muting him. I think he's talking about tax. Yeah, there's no I mean there's no argument that tax is stealing wealth. That's just ridiculous because the people who pay tax, everybody who pays tax in a society, benefits from where that tax goes. So everybody does, because even if they don't directly, even if the richest person in society goes to private healthcare, their workers are going to the NHS, which is funded through their taxes, and they are healthy so they can continue working for this billionaire. So they're not directly benefiting, but their wealth is, because their workers are staying healthy. So everybody benefits from tax. Tax is a good thing. It's not stealing. And those who have the most should pay more. That is so basic. Wages are not fair. Yeah, wages, and this is bad as well. As employers know best. Employers do know best, but they also know what's best for them. So employers know that what's best for them goes against what's best for the worker. And hence, they're always going to shaft the worker over if it means that they can continue profiting. So I strongly disagree. Reduce the webcam size. Okay, I appreciate that. I always think, I watch back and I think, shit, I need to do this. Is that better now? All right, that's good. Has it just taken me back to the start? That's annoying. All right, I guess the questions that come up that are the same, I'll just put the answer that I gave. Jury nullification should be legal. Jury nullification. Somebody's going to have to help me on this one. What's jury nullification? Better? All right. Jury nullification. I feel like when you don't make a good faith. It means they say not guilty when they know they're guilty. Oh. They say not guilty when they know they're guilty. And that should be legal. Like they lie on purpose to get them off the crime. Strongly disagree. What's a good example where that could? When you say guilty, when you think non-guilty around. No, I don't think that should be legal. Autonomy of body extends even to minors, the mentally ill, and serious criminals. Yes. Autonomy of body, yes. Because they think the law is unjust. That's fair. I still wouldn't make it legal. I mean, I still wouldn't make it legal because that can be exploited as well, though. But I can see an argument as to why somebody would, a jury would do that. But I'm still gonna disagree. I think it should still be illegal, because that could also be exploited in the way around. And I think in most cases it would be exploited to protect the interests of the wealthy. Autonomy of body extends even, I don't think so, I'm in the middle. That's fair. Autonomy of body extends even to minors. Yeah, strongly agree. Like what? Laws based on cultural values rather than ethical ones aren't justice. That's a good question. Do we have it? What's an example of a law that we've got right now based on cultural value rather than ethical value? Because I feel like both could go hand in hand. Sharia, yeah, but Sharia is based off of the ethical code that those who abide it go by, no? So I might not agree with it. You might not agree with it, but can't hold a fish suspiciously. That's a good one. Equality Act, but I guess that's ethical. Yeah, I think they're all linked to ethics at the end of the day. Marriage Act, but the Marriage Act was also linked to ethics, no? Because it's ethical to allow everybody into an institution of marriage in society. You don't want to exclude anybody from marriage. Can't wear a suit of armour in Parliament. Aren't justice. Laws based on cultural values rather than ethical. If there's no ethical nothing inside of a law, there's no ethical code, I don't think that's justice. So I agree. Laws based on cultural values rather than ethical ones aren't justice. I think I agree. National holiday by statute on bonfire night. Sharia isn't culture. So you're saying Sharia is ethical. But then it's subjective, isn't it? Two consenting individuals should be able to do whatever they want with each other, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Two consenting individuals. No, because if two individuals consent to killing each other, they shouldn't do that. So they should, not whatever. But I also don't think they should be restricted on doing a lot of other stuff. To consent, they should. You think they should be allowed to off each other? Cannibalism. I don't know if you're talking about the question before. I don't think they should be able to off each other if they just because they consent to it. Yeah, if they both consent. Yeah, but how do you feel about the consenting cannibals? You could make a philosophical argument that yeah, it's what they want, but we could descend into a very difficult to manage and problematic society if we live by that. And there are some people who consent to things in the moment that they really do reject after or regret after. Like that does them a lot of harm, long-standing harm. So I'm gonna go disagree. It's things like surrogacy as well, prostitution. Those things are two consenting adults, but should it be legal? The government should at most provide emergency services and law enforcement. At most, or at least, at most, it's saying at most. The government should at most, strongly disagree, should do more than that. This is the bare minimum. Strongly agree. At most. So they shouldn't do anything past this. I disagree too, Fuad. I don't see what, so no state education, no, I don't know, what else? No government programs, only emergency services and law enforcement. I'm going to go strongly disagree. Education is propaganda. Yeah, but you could call it propaganda, but then if you leave it up to private companies, that is just going to be propaganda for someone else. If you just think education is propaganda in general, I think it's better to get education from the state. Yeah, this is literally anarcho-capitalism. The police were not created to protect the people. Okay, I've already answered this. What did I answer? To uphold the status quo. The police were not created to protect the people, but to uphold the status quo by force. I think I put agree. I put slightly agree. I'm going to go past the ones I've already done quickly. Exploitation is an outdated term as the struggles of 1800s capitalism does not exist anymore. Maybe not in the exact form, but exploitation still definitely exists in just a more modern system. So strongly disagree. I don't think exploitation is an outdated term at all. People still get exploited way too much. all around the world. In fact, globalization has probably increased exploitation. And globalization came after the 1800s. People still starve like they used to and are homeless. Yeah, and that's just two things. People were still treated awfully at work. People were still paid a pittance and taken advantage of. Where to do quiz? It's called the SappyValues quiz. I'm going to put it in chat, yeah, and I'm going to try pinning it. But usually when I pin things, it doesn't stay pinned. So that might be annoying. The death penalty should exist for certain crimes. Strongly agree. The pins last 3 minutes. Okay. I don't know if I don't think I agree with this anymore. Strongly agree. Strongly agree. But okay, so what crimes? What crimes would you be in favor of that penalty, of capital punishment? What crimes does it have to be? I think I'm slightly disagree here. What if it's Mr. Mustache? Good point. That's like the most extreme, but I guess it's still a certain crime, I guess. I think I'm still disagree. I think I'm slightly disagree because in a society with a lot of corruption, a lot of ulterior motives within the authorities, it could get exploited and it could lead to innocent people getting put away. I do hear the economic argument, complete lunatic, I don't know if I can say the word, but violator, for example, serial killer, who is past the point of no return, 70 years old. What's the point of spending tax money on keeping them alive? I can hear that, but I don't think anybody should be killed by the government when they don't deserve to, and that can happen. I'm going to go slightly disagree, and I do believe in rehabilitation in most cases. Drugs are harmful and should be banned. Such a vague statement. I'm not going to go strongly agree or strongly disagree. Why do I have to keep a rapist alive? You don't have to. That's the thing. It's a tricky question. I don't know. Drugs are harmful and should be banned. Or drugs like weed, marijuana, I don't think it should be banned, and I don't necessarily think they're that harmful in moderation. Alcohol is a drug. It's not banned. So the most vague thing ever. It is very vague. Drugs can be paracetamol. So I'm going to take this as it's talking about like drugs that people do when they go out for a session and not when they need Calpol or something like that. When they have a headache. I'm just going to take this as recreational hard drugs, for example. So most of them should be legal. I mean, most of them should be illegal and most of them are harmful, but there are some that are not that big of a deal, I don't think. Medical drugs are different. Yeah, that's how I'm interpreting it. Strongly agree. I think they should be legal. I think we could move in a direction towards legalization. I think we could. Class A and B excluding weed should be banned. I kind of agree with you. But I think there have been societies who have decriminalized and it has worked out. Like, it's been a positive. If you take age as natural selection at that point. Just hurry up. Bro, people always tell me to hurry up. I like talking to the chat. I'm going to upload all of this onto YouTube later. So if you don't want to stick around, you can watch it after on my account, my channel. I like talking to the chat, but I will go, I'll disagree with this. Actually, I'll go neutral. An individual's body is their own property and they should be able to do anything they desire to it. Do you do the same test every day? This is a different test. It's probably the last time I'm going to do a test, but I did political compass, 8 values yesterday, and this is like a mixture of 2 different tests. I just want to see what I get, and it's a fun thing to talk about it with the chat. But I know I do rinse these tests a lot. This is it's the comments unpinned. It's called SappyValues. I'll write it again. I don't know why it keeps unpinning, but there's probably just someone already wrote it. And yeah, I disagree with this as well. I don't think people should just do whatever they want to themselves. But I don't think they should be jailed for example, for hurting themselves, I don't think they should be jailed for it. I mean, that's not ridiculous to say at all. Nobody should be jailed for something they do to themselves, because that's why I said before, I think a crime is punishable when it harms society or somebody else. When it's yourself, clearly there's a deeper issue that needs to be addressed, rather than you just wanting to cause havoc. So I don't think they should be jailed. I don't think it should be punishable by law. So I'm kind of going to go agree. I'm leaning to a slightly agree. But I don't think they should, because it says should, not like it's a good thing. It's just saying should. So if you go against this, you're sort of saying they should not, hence you're implying that they should be apprehended if they do and punished by the state. I think this is more about abortions and stuff. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I'm going to go slightly agree. Authority figures, if morally correct, are a good thing for society. I've already answered this. Strongly agree. Land should not be a commodity to be bought and sold. We were talking about this the other day. I think Lo was on the live, if she's still here. Because I was interpreting land as houses, also corporations, stores, farms. And Lo was saying she believes it's more to do with just farms, and if I remember correctly, rather than houses. I interpret this as houses and just land in general. Should not be a commodity. I disagree. I slightly disagree, because I think I don't agree that land should be a market. For example, the housing market. I don't think it should be a market where corporations and like BlackRock just go and hoard and buy a bulk of homes and squeeze out the middle class from the market. That's when you get into a dangerous territory. And when landlords take advantage of that and raise rents, that's exploitative. That's not good. But I still think people should be able to buy a house. First-time buyers, second-time buyers even. Just a middle-class family should be able to buy a house and own it. So I'm going to slightly disagree. I think it should, but it should be heavily regulated. Corporations should be limited to certain sectors. Yeah, I agree. Everyone should own a house. I don't think houses should be bought and sold. Should be given. That's interesting. But then can the person choose what house they're given? Or, for example, does one family get plopped in Bradford whilst the other one gets put in Westminster, and then another one gets put in Glasgow? Like, how does it work? If you're given a house, do you still get to choose it? Is my question, because that does restrict some freedoms. This says land, not house. Yeah, but I think houses are land. Call me a tanky if you want. I won't call you a tanky unless you conform to that label. I don't want to pay for someone else's stuff. But I don't even think that's not how I'm answering that question. I don't want you to pay for other people's houses. I do think council houses are good, though. I think tax money should go to that. But I'm not saying the government should give everybody houses. I'm saying that corporations should not squeeze people out of the housing market. The housing market should be prioritizing first-time buyers and families. Parents should hold absolute power over their children as they are older and more experienced. Disagree. Not absolute power, but I do think they should dictate the fundamental decisions. I don't think they should. Well, maybe I'm neutral, because I do think they should have power over the most key aspects of life at a young age, especially. An 8-year-old should be more regulated than a 15-year-old. Yeah. It gets to a certain point where test name SappyValues quiz. I keep typing in the chat, but it keeps going away after a second, so there's no point. So I think I'm going to go absolute power over their children as they are older and more experienced. I'm going to go neutral / onshore. Actually, I'm going to go disagree. Not absolute power. I agree with you, Max. A government that provides for everyone is inherently a good idea. It is inherently a good idea, yeah. A government that provides for everybody. Neutral / disagree. Hell no. I don't know how you could say no to this. I don't know how you could disagree with this. If you have a government that prioritizes certain groups in the society over others, you're going to marginalize those groups. You're going to create an anger and a conflict and that is going to backfire. I said no to the last one. Okay. Strongly agree. Yeah, strongly agree. It causes laziness, destroys capitalism. Capitalism is already being destroyed, not by laziness, but by the seeds that it sows, the seeds that it plants. Capitalism plants the seeds of its own destruction. It's not laziness. Because we don't have necessarily, we have a government that provides a lot for a lot of people, but we don't have this utopian government that provides for everyone. So it's also a hypothetical situation. I think people forget humans' instinct is to work. Capitalism incentivizes that, doesn't incentivize that whatsoever. Doesn't invent it. The government threatens you to comply. One cannot be moral without religion. Strongly disagree. I already answered this one on a previous test. The current welfare system should be expanded to further combat inequality. What are your thoughts on the British Libertarian Party? I haven't heard about the British Libertarian Party, but I'm not a libertarian myself. I don't really agree with that ideology. The last one, F no, yeah. The thing is with the welfare system, yeah, the welfare system's broken. I kind of agree with you, bro. I kind of agree that welfare is broken because people do scam it. However, there should still be welfare, and welfare should be very, very strong. The safety net should be very, very strong for those that actually need it. But it should be strong in the sense that only those that actually need it can get access to it, and people who don't need it can't exploit it. Because people who don't need it and then exploit it harm the people who actually need it and harm society in general. So I don't necessarily think it should be expanded in a sense of helping out more people, but it should be expanded in the sense that it's strengthened to really focus onto the groups that it's supposed to target. So, and it should be used to combat inequality. So I'm going to go slightly agree. Green Party or Lib Dems? If you're asking me right now, I'm kind of undecided, mate. I like things about the Green Party. I like things about the Lib Dems. And there are also things I don't like about each one. The actual welfare queens are the billionaires. The billionaires, I made a video on this. I think my first video speaking face to camera was talking about, and I was reading it in the Bernie Sanders manifesto book from 2016, about how billionaires are the ones who actually benefit from welfare more than working people. Freedom of business is the best practical way a society can prosper. The best practical way society can prosper, I disagree with that. I don't think it's the best way. Freedom of business, no. I believe in regulation. I don't believe, it's not like I'm against business. It's not like I'm against a free market, but it shouldn't be a total free anarchist society where there's no government regulation, there's no safety nets, no taxation on corporations. So wages are always fair as employers know best. I've already answered this one. I think I put strongly disagree. Always fair. Yeah, strongly disagree. Because I'm going to just quickly say it again. Employers do know what's best for the employees, but they also know what's best for themselves. And who are they going to prioritize? Out of the employees and the employers. The employers are going to prioritize themselves. So no, wages are not fair. The quiz is called SappyValues quiz. Sapply, S-A-P-P-L-Y, values. Mandatory IDs should be used to ensure public safety. Yeah, I don't disagree with this. It's not saying digital IDs. It's not saying, yeah, it's just saying mandatory IDs. I might slightly agree. Because I think people should have IDs. You can't just because then you lot will complain about undocumented migrants, but then we're all undocumented. If we don't have mandatory IDs, we're all undocumented. We have driving license. Yeah, but that is an ID. So if you've got a driver's license, that would count as your mandatory ID. If you don't have a driver's license, you need something else to prove your identity. I agree. Don't we already have mandatory IDs you have to carry everywhere? Some countries might, some countries might not. I think Spain does. It is human nature to be greedy. It's human nature. It's just nature in general to provide for yourself. But once you can provide for yourself, you also want to see those around you be provided for. And I, as a person, I want to feed myself, but I also want to see my family getting fed. And if I can feed them whilst also feeding me, I will do it. And if I've got excess and a surplus of food, I will give that to them and those around me. So that wouldn't be greedy. I think I'm not going to go strongly disagree, because I think our priority is to help ourselves, but that is only in the most existential cases. Human nature literally means nothing. Yeah, I don't know. Is human nature to be greedy? I'm going to go disagree. In a bit, Leo. Thank you for joining. The quiz is called SappyValues quiz. SappyValues. If there's any moderators still here, could you not just like type the quiz name every time someone asks? Are you Spanish? You look a bit Hispanic, bro. I don't know how you've guessed that, but yeah, I'm half Spanish. Maybe because I just said something about Spain. Society requires structure and bureaucracy in order to function. Society requires structure and bureaucracy in order to function. Well, structure and bureaucracy are two different things, aren't they? Because you could have a non-bureaucratic structure. But I'll go slightly agree, because I do think we need structure. I don't necessarily think we need bureaucracy though. But I think bureaucracy, it depends. I'm going to go slightly agree. A person should be able to worship whomever or whatever they want. Strongly agree. I don't think anything negative can come from worshipping anything. You might not agree with what somebody worships, but that doesn't harm you physically. Yeah, people should be allowed to worship whoever they want. Agree as long as it's not extreme. Cults, bro. Yeah, but cults, it's the action of worshipping. The action of worshipping doesn't harm anybody. If you're in a cult and you worship somebody and then go on, and because that person you're worshipping tells you to do something, then you go and act out, that's a bad thing. The actual action of worshipping something isn't what's wrong about that movement. Bro got disowned from the GC. I got added by Reesmog 2029. I never wanted to be a part of that GC anyway. But thank you for joining, Jemrick. The Aztec child sacrifices harmed people, and that was therefore worship. Yeah, but so would you classify this as what you could worship doing harm to other people? I don't know. We've seen the DMs. What's he on about? What, the DMs with Gordon Brown? What's he on about? A person should be able to worship whomever or whatever they want. I'm still gonna go slightly agree. The harder you work, the more you progress up the social ladder. I think in a lot of cases, yes, but there's also a lot of cases of people who work very hard and don't progress up the social ladder. They actually go down, because it's sort of putting all your eggs in one basket. And if that goes wrong, you've got no other alternative. So I'm going to go disagree slightly. Depends on how you define the social ladder. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could think about it in many different ways. So, of course, the work, employment ladder, the housing ladder, the class ladder, all those things I think combined become a social ladder. Multiculturalism is bad. I think I've already answered this. Strongly disagree. Multiculturalism in itself is not bad. Society needs multiculturalism. I agree. I think we have a lot to confront in our own nature before we overcome capitalism. You're replying to a comment there. Gender is a social construct, not a natural state of affairs. Yeah, I do agree. But I also can see that there are biological, hormonal differences that do affect behavior in genders. But for the most part, lads, let's be real. Like, we are just conditioned to act like our gender. Like, for the most part, we are. And that you can't really deny it. People built the social construct for gender. Yeah, exactly. Blue, pink, that is a construct. And we, as boys, we gravitated to always blue because we were taught it. W breathing. Is my mic too close? Oh, my bad, bro. My bad. I appreciate you joining, Lawrence, if that's who I think it is, though. W giggling. All right, bro. Shut up. Shut up, Lawrence. I'm happy for Hearts, though. I've seen they're top of the Scottish Premiership. It's good to see. some variation for a change. All right, what are you guys saying? Baby girls naturally attracted to pink, literally proven. Where? I don't think that has been proven. I don't think that can be proven. Baby girls, like a 2-month-old girl, is going to point towards the pink if she's shown pink and blue. I don't think that's true. Gender's most definitely not a social construct, fundamentally. I think it is. Baby girl here, yeah, it's true. Fair enough, it must be true then. Gender is very much social. Yeah, I agree. I slightly agree. I'm leaning towards agree. Yeah, exactly. Like the parents will set up, and from day one, their environment will be gravitating towards their gender and the social construct of their gender. Website called SappyValues quiz. Sapply. Sex is a biological reality, but gender is a social construct. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's the term, isn't it? That's what the terms mean. Yeah. Every time I see a comment from this Lawrence guy, bro, I can just imagine his voice, his Scottish accent. I love it. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. I slightly disagree with this. I think, no, I do disagree. I don't strongly disagree, because I think for the most part, if you've done nothing wrong, you don't have to fear punishment. But there are people who get punished, unjustifiably. So I'm gonna go disagree. So I keep breathing, bro, because I keep speaking fast. I'm sorry if you can hear it. The smaller the government, the freer the people. I've already answered this. Strongly disagree. The government should be less involved. Somebody just rang the doorbell. I think my mum will go down. The government should be less involved in the day-to-day life of its citizens. Less involved in the day-to-day life of its citizens. Right now, to what extent is the government involved in our lives? I don't think the government's that involved in our lives right now. Everyone loves to say that we live in an authoritarian state now, but I don't agree with that. Yeah, I'm neutral. I think I'm neutral, Max. I think I agree with you, because I don't think there'd be a positive to them getting involved a lot more or them getting involved a lot less. I mean, if there's a policy that involves them more in the day-to-day life that's positive, then fine, we'll welcome it. But if it does the opposite, it's all about the policy and what effect that has on society. It's not necessarily about whether they're involved more or less. It doesn't necessarily matter as long as it benefits the people. And I think that a nuanced person can see that government intervention could either improve or worsen society. I believe in big government. I think a big government can do good things. It can also do bad things. That's why I'm neutral. Without democracy, a society is nothing. Strongly agree. Until anybody names me a better system than democracy, I will not hear anything about democracy, because there are flaws and it can be reformed. But fundamentally, democracy is the best societal structure that we have come up with, I think. You're not saying strongly disagree, but I don't know if you're saying it's this one or the democracy one. I hope you're saying it's this one. Liberal democracies lead to centralized power, just like every other system. Yeah, but centralized power is always going to be... We haven't really tried anything else. Anarchism's not worked. Only at my uni. This is called the SappyValues. Oh my god, the chat's going fast now. Does it mean nudism like naked? Yes, that is what it means. Perfectly natural. It is perfectly natural, but I don't think people should go out on the streets, both for their own safety and for other people's. So I'm going to go strongly disagree if it's asking me, should people just embrace it? I'm going to type it again, because so many people are asking. But every time I type it and I pin it, it gets unpinned very quickly. You've often got two right-wing neoliberal parties. Yeah, democracy is not perfect, don't get me wrong. In times of crisis, safety becomes more important than civil liberties. I already answered this earlier before the quiz refreshed. In times of crisis, safety becomes more important. I strongly agree. In times of crisis, unfortunately, we can't pick and choose. We just need to be safe. We need to survive. Liberal democracy is a joke of democracy. So what's not a joke of democracy? What's the other form of democracy that's better? What's civil liberties? Civil liberties are just, I guess, basic freedoms. Your right to freedom of speech, your right to go outside and go for a run, I guess. I mean, that's just an example of it. Civil liberties are just freedom. So obviously freedom getting restricted is not good, but in a time of crisis, we can't pick and choose. That's my point. Workers' democracy. Yeah, but I mean, obviously I'm not a communist, but we don't have a workers' democracy, don't get me wrong, in the communist sense. But workers do decide. We are the majority. We are prone to propaganda. So that does affect democracy and stain it. But fundamentally, we can decide who's in power. When most of the electorate is uneducated on political issues, how would this lead to strong governance? Yeah, but that's why you need to make it mandatory that the electorate gets educated on politics from a young age. It's so key. All industry and the bank should be nationalized. All industry. Not all industry. Not all industry, I don't think. But I do think fundamental industry should. Energy, transport, water, for sure, should be nationalized. But I don't know about all. What's the industry that shouldn't be nationalized? Like food? Should food be nationalized? Do we want government-owned McDonald's? Like, I don't know. Am I tweaking? I'm gonna go disagree because I don't think all should. I don't think all should. It should all be nationalized. I don't think all should though. I don't think we want food nationalized. Like maybe in some cases, but like fast food, like do we want the government making shit food? Like if we're gonna have shit food, at least I don't know. Let us choose between McDonald's and Burger King. You get me? Supply chain should be nationalized. You know what? I can hear a lot of what you lot are saying. I can hear a lot of what you're saying, but I still disagree. Organizations and corporations cannot be trusted and need regulation by the government. Yeah, strongly agree. 10 out of 10 Paddy or 10 out of 10 no. Charlie, good friend of mine, coming up with the big questions. Unfortunately, I'm not going to answer that right now, but you can message me after the live. Only the government can fairly and effectively regulate organizations. Only the government? I think the government can also ineffectively regulate organizations. Government corrupt too? Yeah, governments can be corrupt. So yeah, I disagree. I don't think only the government can do that. That's not what it's asking. What's it asking then? It's what it's only the government. That's what it's asking. If only the government can fairly and effectively regulate organizations. And I don't think only the government can. I think there are other. Can we get my boy to 10k likes? Thank you, Charlie. Oh, I disagree with this. I disagree. You said the government may be ineffective, but that's relevant. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's not really that relevant to the question. But I'm saying that because the government can be ineffective, sometimes you need effective regulators that aren't the government. So I've got a blocked nose as well, so that doesn't help with my breathing. Charity is a better way of helping those in need than welfare. Strongly disagree. I do think charity is good and there is a place for it in society, but we should not rely on charity. Charity is good when capitalists are generous. Yeah, but a lot of capitalists aren't, unfortunately, Fuad. So it shouldn't be a replacement. It should just be next to state welfare as an alternative. State schools are a bad idea because our state shouldn't be influencing our children. No. Because then who influences our children? The parents, but then who influences the parents? No, I don't think, I disagree with this. Because then again, private schools, they're still going to get influenced by an external force, an external authority that could be equally harmful or even worse. So I strongly disagree. Transgender individuals should not be able to adopt children. Strongly disagree. Wait, it says should not, right? Should not or should? Should not. Yes, strongly disagree. Victimless crimes should still be punished. I already answered this. I put slightly agree. Strength is necessary for any government to succeed. You can't hide away from indoctrination and propaganda. It's everywhere. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Propaganda is everywhere. So if you just shift the burden of it onto another authority, like I said, It's going to have the same effect, just with a different effector. Strength is necessary for any government to succeed. Necessary? No, I don't think so. Maybe the stream is propaganda. It might be. I guess you'll have to figure that one out for yourselves. Neutral. Yeah, I think never lose that smile. If you're talking to me, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Strength is necessary for any government to succeed. It's a strong aspect, and that's why most good governments throughout history have been strong, quote unquote. But I think there's a difference between being strong physically, with like a strong government and a strong army, and then also it's enough. Oh hell no. But yeah, I think strength, you need to be stronger in terms of your rhetoric rather than your physical strength. But yeah, I mean, I'll say to an extent, yes, because you need to be strong to propel your message to the masses. So you could be a good leader or a good potential leader, but you're not going to get your message across if you're not strong. Hi guys, I'd agree. Thank you. Strongly agree. Economic inequality is too high in the world. Yeah, strongly agree. Communism is an ideal practice, an ideal that can never work in practice. I kind of agree, but I don't know if I don't strongly agree. But I don't know if I'm neutral, if I'm agree. Because I've never seen it. And I know that's the classic argument, and I know the USA has worked overtime to ensure that communism doesn't develop, or communist societies don't develop. But my fundamental criticism with communism is not necessarily communism. It's the fact that it allows individuals and leaders and governments to have so much power that then they just become the ruling class. The governments will become the ruling class, and that's what's happened. That's what happened in Soviet Russia in a lot of cases with Stalin, and in China with Mao. And then people say that's not this type of communism, that's that type of communism. But Kim Jong-un, like, they become the ruling class, and then they will oppress their people if they've got that much power and they own everything. Mao was based, I mean, you're going to call this why I say propaganda, but so many people died as a result of his policies. And he inflicted so much harm onto people who just spoke up about him, or just acted out of line, or went against the government policies. I don't know. I think it's a big risk. I'm gonna slightly agree. I sympathize with a lot of ideas that communism has. I just don't know if it's the solution. I don't know. Without him, China would have been in such a worse place. Doesn't mean he wasn't like bad though, or he did bad things. Taxation of the wealthy is a bad idea. Society would be better off without it. Strongly disagree. So what this question's implying, if I agree with this, that we should just tax the workers, or we should tax nobody. No, disagree. Taxation is ontologically theft. Mao had done mistakes, of course. I like the Cultural Revolution. I haven't looked too much into it, I can't lie. I'm not the most educated. I will admit that. Sometimes it is right that the government may spy on its citizens to combat extremists and terrorists. See, that's interesting, because this is not asking about civil liberties anymore. This is generally asking about spying, and spying is quite serious. I think I disagree. Spying is crazy. I'm going to disagree. There's other ways to do it. This is Keir Starmer's plan right now. He might be getting there, but no, I don't think he'll ever go that far. Can you pause the stream? I have to go walk my dog. Yeah, lads, let's just like sit here in silence for 20 minutes, yeah, so Drew can walk his dog. Class is the primary division of society. Strongly agree. There's what else? Nationality? No. Who do you have more in common with? A rich person of the same nationality as you, like a wealthy person, or somebody of a different nationality that's your co-worker? A rich person. But see, you're wrong. It's all based on your viewpoint. I guess it is, Marcus. That's kind of the point. But my viewpoint is that somebody of my nationality who's a corporate owner and a CEO does not have more in common with me than my immigrant classmate who's of a different ethnicity. I don't see how. Because then also there's so much nuance to it. There could be somebody of the same nationality as you who conforms to a completely different culture or religion, and there could be somebody of a different nationality who conforms to the same culture as you. So it was also very, very nuanced. Animals deserve certain universal rights. Strongly agree. I'm going to type the quiz name again, although it keeps getting unpinned. I'll pin it as well. Homosexuality is against my values. Strongly disagree. That's not even one that you lot can debate me on because that's my values. It could be against your values, but not mine. All done. Did you complete this test in a serious or at least unironic manner? Yes, but get me to the results. Wow, so that's different to what I got in the political compass test. I was like down here in the political compass test. So that's a big difference. What are we saying? It's different. I expected green too. I've only ever got green. Horrific compass position. That's a good opinion. See, now people are going to immediately think I'm a communist, but I'm not a communist at all. You're very Labour coded. Communist. I'm not a communist. Political compass is not really that accurate, so is this more accurate, do you reckon? Yeah, I mean, I think in the markets wise, I believe in regulation. But I don't believe we know what you are. But I don't believe in dictatorship. You know what, there's no point even explaining. I've explained myself pretty well, I think. You lot know what I stand for, I think. Bro, just saying stuff. Yeah. That's what I tend to do. I tend to say stuff. How do you measure authoritarianism? Yeah, because you can measure authoritarianism in terms of social liberty, and then obviously also economic liberty. So economically, maybe I'm a bit more authoritarian because I believe in nationalization, I believe in regulation, but I don't believe in banning gay rights, banning trans rights. I'm very liberal in that sense. So I guess this is more economic. Oh yeah, no, this is all economic because look, this is the social axis here. I didn't even notice. This is purely economic, and then this is so that's why in the political compass I get green because it includes the social here. Here the social is just this progressive conservative, where you can see I'm more to the progressive. So that's why if this is purely economic, then I can kind of see why I'm in the red. I can kind of see that then, because if I was here, I'd be more free markets, I guess, but more pro taxation maybe. Bro, the thing keeps getting unpinned, man. I beg one of you lot in the chat just tells people what the test is called, if you don't mind. SappyValues there, thank you. All right, so yeah, that's my results. That's my results. I was gonna do another quiz, but honestly, I think you lot are tired of seeing me do quizzes. I've done like 3 of them now. And this is the thing, bro. This is when people are gonna start joining. People are gonna start joining the live because this photo is up without having watched anything, and they're gonna think I'm a communist. I'm not a communist. Bro, communism would be like up at the top. Like at the top. Left authoritarian. This is not the political compass. I'm gonna take this image off, bro, because this is not the political compass. It's a complete different it's a completely different axis with different values. I was just in the green near top left of green. All right, so what else should I do? What else should I do? Is there another quiz that you don't want me to do, or should I just end the live? Or should we just talk? I don't mind. That website is so ass. I think they're all flawed. I don't think an exact political ideology exists. Left values, DozenValues. DozenValues. Marcus told me about this one. I'm going to trust him that this one's also good. DozenValues. Let's see how long it is. Okay, so ownership, market, power, autonomy, identity, progress. It gives scales and 3 similar ideologies. I'll try to go through this quicker. 132 statements. Okay, I'll just go through it quickly. Firearms should be available to the general public. Disagree. If it is tradition to perform some surgeries on children, it should be done. Not if it's tradition. It needs scientific backing, not if it's just purely tradition. No. All government intervention in the economy should be opposed. Strongly disagree. Proportional representation of minorities should be mandatory in the workplaces. You shouldn't discriminate against anybody. I think in certain institutions that don't require skill, so for example, what people call low skill employment, yeah, why not be proportional? You shouldn't exclude people in society. But for high skilled employments, I think you should sack that out of the window. You should allow people from minorities to get in by being inclusive, but off of merit. Proportional should be mandatory. So I'll go neutral. The wealth disparity between different cultural groups is due to some groups working harder. I disagree with that. It is important to respect religion. I slightly agree. I think you should respect it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hate speech against minorities should be a crime. No, sorry. Strongly agree. Deportation should be used to ensure ethnic homogeneity. Strongly disagree. My culture is worth protecting. Yeah, but not. But cultures are malleable, so cultures are open to change. So just a slight shift in culture or adaptation is not worth going to war over. But I'll slightly agree. It is better for different people to stay in their own communities. But what's this? Is this test just going to ask me about what is it? Is it trying to make me either like a Nazi or what is this trying to get at on me? It is better for different people to stay in their own communities. Disagree. I don't think it's better. Property shouldn't be held by a few select individuals. Strongly agree. Shouldn't be. This is called DozenValues. Many industries are too important to be left to the market. Agree. Trespassing should be met with harsh consequences. Harsh? I agree it should be met with consequences, but what's harsh? Harsh is crazy. I'm going to try to pin this comment. Foreign investments are to be welcomed. Oh, it's a slippery slope. But yes, to an extent. But not for water companies and not for energy companies. That's the issue. Yes, if you want a McDonald's in town, that's a foreign investment, but not for my water pipes and sewage and all that. No. So I'm gonna go middle, yeah. Israelis removing Palestinian culture is okay then. But that's the thing, that's a external force coming and oppressing people and cleansing them. So that's a different thing than for example, legal migrants coming over and enriching a culture, and that culture adapts with maybe new food or new traditions. It's not like it doesn't go hand in hand with the physical oppression of the people. Local councils should have more power to implement economic policies. Agree. Workplaces should not be required to close on Sundays or during religious festivals. Workplaces should not be required. No, it should not be. I think they should be. I mean, no, I think not all workplaces should be required. But I'm gonna go slightly disagree because most should. In the future, we should improve our own biology with technology. What is that, bro? I hate this. Because what is improving our own biology? Like if it's for example, if it's getting rid of inheritable diseases, like, I don't know, there was an example that someone gave on a stream the other day, but this is such a slippery slope as well. So I'm going to go disagree. Workers deserve a greater part of what they create. Yeah, I do agree. They should get a greater part. Gender should be abolished. No, I disagree. Abandoned property should be free to use by any individual. Abandoned property should be free to use by an individual. Depends on what they're doing with it, though. If it's within legal means, and you want to go there and, like, I don't know, play hide and seek with your mates, like, why not? Politicians should not exist. Strongly disagree. It would be a shame to see minority languages go extinct. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Theft can never be justified. That's an interesting one. Theft can never be justified. Well, there's nuance to theft. I don't think theft is right ever. But there are cases where people are driven to theft because they've got literally no other way to survive. And in that case, I think from that individual who wants to feed their children, it can be justified because you would do that too. Worker associations hurt everyone in the end. Disagree. Or if I need food and got no money, yeah. We should increase tariffs on imports in order to help local producers. It depends. This is such a vague question. I'm going to go disagree because I think the negatives to tariffs, for the most part, outweigh the positives. Trump made this question, yeah. The benefits of automation outweigh the costs. No. I mean, depends for who. For the corporate owners, yes, but not for us, for the most part, I don't think. But I mean, I guess like in our education and we can get better access to information, but I guess I'm going to go neutral because I think there's really big positives and really big negatives to automation. There should be laws against wearing religious clothing in public. I think I disagree with this. Yeah, I think I disagree with that. We should not engage in offensive warfare. I mean, bro, again, like, what's the context? No, I don't think we should. But what if we get invaded first? Or what if we get attacked first? I mean, I guess it's saying should we initiate it? So, yeah, I agree, we should not. You are so left. If you think I'm the furthest left you get, then you're going to be very unhappy with a lot of people that you find. But I am left-leaning. That is, yeah. He's a liberal. Yeah, you could. That's the thing, bro. This is the thing. People call me a liberal and then people call me a communist. I don't even know what I am. I'm just answering questions. But yeah, it is what it is. In times of crisis, safety takes precedence over liberty. We already answered this in the other test. Safety takes precedence. Yeah, agree. Social Democrat, maybe. That's what I got on the test I did yesterday. Centre-left liberal, from what I've seen. That is what I would probably say. I don't like attaching labels to myself because my ideologies are changing a lot, like pretty much every day. But yeah, I got Social Democrat yesterday. Any sexual activity is fine as long as everyone involved is a consenting adult. Any sexual activity? No, I disagree. Any, bro. This could get dangerous. Any is no. Disagree. Parents should not send their children to religious schools. I wouldn't, but I disagree that they should not. I mean, I could have an opinion on why they should not, but that doesn't mean I would want to enforce a law. So I'll disagree. I think people should be allowed to send their kids to whatever school they want to, unless it's a, I don't know, murdering school. Religious authority should never grant political power. Religious authority should never be granted political power, or should never. What does that mean? Religious authority should never grant political power. I'm going to agree with that, but I don't know if I'm reading that right. Income tax should be abolished. Strongly disagree. People should not have to pay for healthcare. Strongly agree. If you're the Pope, not allowed to run the country, essentially. Yeah, I agree with that. An individual's gender is determined by their chromosomes. No, that's what determines their sex. Their gender is a social construct. We've been through this. I strongly disagree. A large welfare state breeds an unhealthy culture of reliance. A large welfare state breeds an unhealthy culture of reliance. It can, but that's not the main function of welfare. That's not the main, like. But yeah, I just don't think that there's a big enough culture of reliance for me to say that's what welfare brings. That's the consequences of welfare. Elaborate on question 35. Yeah, because I think somebody's chromosomes, it determines their sex and their genetics. But once they're out of the womb, I think it's how they're socialized and the symbols that they see around them. That is what then they associate to their gender. Bro's just a liberal. You could say that. Holy woke. I don't see that as an insult, mate. So I don't know what you want to say to that. A large welfare state breeds an unhealthy culture of reliance. I'm going to disagree. Prostitution should be allowed. Strongly disagree. It's wasteful to have so many different brands of the same goods. Wasteful? I mean, it depends on the sector. It depends on the sector. I think having 100,000 brands for water bottles is a bit, much. And it wastes definitely a lot. So I guess I'll go agree. Altering our language to make it more gender inclusive is not a bad idea. But I'm going to need an example of where I've had to alter my language. Holy woke, are we complimenting or criticizing it? That's the thing, bro. People genuinely have such different opinions on what is good and what is bad. It's just, yeah. Altering our language. Yeah, I just don't see myself altering my language to make it more gender inclusive. I just treat people how they want me to treat them. If somebody wants me to call them something, I'll just call them something. I just don't care. So I guess I'm neutral. Should be banned? No, I disagree. Tyranny by majority is a legitimate concern. Tyranny by majority is a legitimate concern. What does it mean by tyranny by majority? So just by the majority of the population? I think tyranny in general is a concern. The economy should be organized by profession groups performing their function. What's a profession group? Just a group that's professional at what they do, like a specialized group. I guess. Some ideas are too dangerous to be given a platform. I think in this day and age, everybody gets a platform whether we like it or not. And some are dangerous, yes. But whether we like it or not, they're going to have a platform anyway. So I'm just neutral. Because whilst I might agree that some are too dangerous, they will get one. So whether I like it or not, they will have one. And there's nothing I can do about it. Some sexual orientations are to be socially favored. What does that mean? Like, does that mean they should be socially favored or that they are socially favored? I'm going to interpret it how I interpret it. I think this is telling me that some sexual orientations should be socially favored, which I disagree with. People should not be treated differently because of their origin. Strongly agree. Wait, should not be, right? Yeah, should not be treated differently. Eradicating diseases isn't a valid reason to enforce vaccination. What other reason would there be then? Eradicating disease isn't. Disagree. But also, no, I'll go slightly disagree because I think it should be a choice. I think it's a very silly choice if, for example, during the pandemic, you don't take a vaccine. But I don't think necessarily you should take 75 booster vaccines either, or you should be forced to do that. So I disagree. I think vaccines are good, but you shouldn't have to do them. Gay marriage should be legal. Strongly agree. Intellectual property is legitimate. Intellectual property is legitimate. Am I just an idiot? What intellectual property? Is that just like books? I'm being silly, aren't I? Copyright. So if I hold the rights to something and I kind of gatekeep that. Trademark. Oh, okay. Trademarking ideas. Anti-fraud is legitimate. I think there are a lot of another man controls what another man can do. So, for example, like this is kind of what Elon Musk did, right? Elon Musk taxed the idea of Tesla from someone else or PayPal, or whatever it was, and then started the company and patented it, and then got all the profits when he didn't really come up with it. But I mean, I kind of disagree. I think for the most part, or in a lot of cases, the people who have their name signed on ideas didn't even come up with it. IP is good for the most part. It can be. I don't disagree with you. A party of revolutionaries should lead the workers against capitalism. I don't. Again, I'm not communist, but I think if there are workers who want to form a party, a revolutionary party, I think they should be allowed to do that, because I think in a free society we should be allowed to fight for whatever we want to fight. So I'll agree, and I think capitalism has to be reformed as well. So I think that's a positive. Inheritance should be abolished. Strongly disagree. It should be taxed, but I don't think it should be abolished. No one but me can adequately represent my political views. I think I kind of agree with this. I think everybody has slight variations in their belief, because there's for sure people in this chat who will agree with me on one question and then disagree with me on the next, and then agree on the next, and it's just we all have different varying beliefs. Some are closer to others, but yeah. Inheritance is not real. Whether you like it or not, mate, it is real. Like, it does exist. If it didn't exist, then I guess you could say it's not real, but leadership should be passed on hereditarily. Hereditarily, so is that like through family, like ascribed status? Or is this like, or is that the opposite? It is that. Yes, I disagree. No? What's hereditarily? Is that what I said? Like monarchy? Okay, yeah, I disagree. Workers should seize the means of production. I think workers should demand more power. I think workers should have more of a democratic say in the power of production. But I don't necessarily think they should seize it. I don't necessarily think they should seize and control it. I think they should have more of a democratic say in who does control it, though. So I guess I'll go neutral. With open borders come major economic benefits. There could be major economic benefits, but there could also be economic negatives. But things with open borders, when people say open borders, do you mean anybody can come in whenever they want, wherever they want, however they want? Or does it mean we just allow there to be a process, EU style? So yeah, EU style you could have, but again, it morally, yeah, I guess I'm gonna go neutral, because there are some benefits, there are some negatives to completely open borders. Nothing is sacred, and we should embrace this. Nothing is sacred, and we should embrace this. I kind of agree with that. I don't think anything is inherently sacred. We should replace the central bank with alternate credit forms such as free banking. Absolutely agree. Low no. What even is that? Yeah, what's a free bank? Central bank free bank. It's like devolution, but just like in the bank sense. I don't necessarily mind expanding from a central bank to other alternative forms. Landlords provide an essential service. They do provide an essential service, but that's the thing. They give people their land, but they're also very exploitative. Ideally, in an ideal world, we don't have landlords that exploit that market. But unfortunately, in the society we live in, people need houses, and they go to landlords for those houses. So, what are they serving though? But they're giving people houses, and you're saying it should be free. And I mean, obviously, I don't agree with you completely, but I agree with you that landlords exploit workers, and landlords are bad. In most cases, they're exploitative, and the market allows them to be. But in the world that we do live in, if we want to be realist, they do provide a service, but it's not essential in the sense that, yeah, we can never reform it. So yeah, I would disagree. It's not essential in the sense that we can't have a different system where they don't have such a big say. The populace cannot govern themselves. I agree. The revenue of religious institutions should not face taxation. Strongly disagree. We should combat mindless consumerism. I agree. Authorities should not be questioned as long as they provide stability. Strongly disagree. Authorities should always be questioned, no matter what. We shouldn't let people do things which will put them in danger. I slightly disagree with this. I slightly disagree, because what danger is a spectrum, and it's just if it's just putting them in danger and no one else, and it's like danger, for example, where they could get, like, if you go for a football that's gone into a bush of thorns, you might get like pricked by some thorns. That could be danger, but like, you know, an individual can never be truly separate from society. Yeah, I agree. Life in big cities is unfulfilling. I disagree. We should move beyond wage systems. I've actually never thought about that. I've never thought about moving beyond wage systems. So what could be an alternative to a wage system? Just like no wage, no money, like a. Yeah. I think I agree with you, Mark, because I kind of disagree, because I just don't see that as the biggest issue right now. I think we could just improve wages. Universal basic income. Isn't that still a wage though? Technically. Society should embrace multiculturalism. Agree. It's often necessary to break taboos. Yeah, I think so. Competition drives innovation. In some cases, yes. In some cases, it does the opposite. Because in some cases, people are driven to innovate, but in some cases, people just compete doing the same tried and tested method that they know is going to succeed, but doesn't actually innovate. So I'll go neutral. Gathering of personal data by companies is legitimate. Nah, that's dodgy. Nations thrive when presided over by strong, capable governments. Capable is the key word there. Strong is not a necessity once you're in government. Expertise, not popular approval, represents best the worth of a ruler. Yeah. I slightly agree. Euthanasia should be legal. Oh, I haven't thought about this one much, to be honest, but I think I'll go slightly agree. But only in the most extreme cases. That's why I'm not saying I shouldn't be an open procedure. Definitely not. Freedom of speech is vital for a healthy society. Strongly agree. Disagree on youth, though. Yeah, that's fair. I can definitely hear people out who want to disagree with it. Traditional gender roles are optimal. Strongly disagree. What's the name of this? DozenValues. The prices of goods should be set by the market. But they are set by the market in most cases, and that's just led to absolute nonsense in society, like nonsense prices, unrealistic prices, exploitative prices, and the markets will always have their own interest in mind. I guess I'll go neutral, because I think for the most part, yeah, sure, but in some cases, no. Bosses know what's best for their workers, but this is the thing, bro. With this question, if I take this as at face value, I agree that bosses know what's best for their workers. It's actually if they act in the interest of their workers. So they know what's best for their workers, but they won't act for what's best for their workers. So I think that's what the question is trying to tell me. So I'll go strongly disagree. This website's called DozenValues. Workers should be allowed to block access to workplaces during general strikes. Nah, I don't know about that. I don't know about blocking access. I think they should be allowed to strike, but not, I don't know about block. But I mean, it's a protest. At the end of the day, you're causing inconvenience. So I mean, I kind of agree. I think it's inconvenient. Yeah, what if I want to go to work? This is the thing. That's what I was thinking at first, Marcus. But then I was thinking, um, a protest, a strike, is supposed to be an inconvenience. So whether we like it or not, that is the purpose of a strike, to cause an inconvenience so change happens. This is called DozenValues. Everyone should be provided with a job. Yeah. And I think we could provide everybody with a job. But obviously, people don't want to do jobs. Like, the jobs that we could allocate to people won't want to do. So I guess I'm going to go neutral. People are whatever gender they say they are. Yeah, I just genuinely don't care on these things. Like, these are not the biggest issues to me in society, what somebody wants to be called. I don't care anymore. I used to care so much. I used to be like such an anti-woke person. I just don't care. People should be allowed to do whatever they want in their own yard. Disagree. Can't kill people. Feudalism was not such a bad system. Yeah, but what did feudalism lead to? I disagree. The economy should be open to each and everyone. Yes, for sure. International borders should not exist. I disagree. But I do think there should be more cooperation between governments and international countries. We shouldn't just completely isolate ourselves. So I slightly disagree. But yeah, I think, of course, you disagree. What does that even mean? Eugenics should be used to genetically remove disabled individuals. What does this mean? Does this mean to remove the disability or to remove the actual child? That is a crazy question. What does it mean? Abortion is eugenics. What are my ideologies? I guess about to find out. I do live in the UK. It means to remove the person. Like, I'm pro-abortion. I think this is unethical. I think it's unethical. But I think it's up to the parent. Certain ethnic groups are genetically predisposed to violence. No. This is just nonsense, bro. Disagree. Worst criminals should be publicly executed. No. Not publicly. Come on. You can have an argument for capital punishment, but not public, man. My battery's running low. I'm going to have to finish this. There should be certain rules and standards that apply across all of society. Yes. Sometimes vigilante justice is necessary. Yes. Nomadic cultures have a wiser relationship with the land than we do. What's a nomadic culture? Can somebody educate me, please? Nomadic cultures. Was that just like cultures who originated in that land? Indigenous. Okay, yeah. That's what I was thinking. So what? But what's like this is phrased so weirdly. A wiser relationship. Wiser. What does wiser mean? Like, I don't like how it's phrased. A wiser relationship? I mean, I guess I'll go agree. They've been there for longer. They know it better. Nobody should get fired for disrespecting a co-worker's identity. Nobody should get fired for disrespecting co-worker's identity. I disagree. I think if you disrespect a co-worker, the employer is well within their rights to fire you. You're causing instability within the workplace. You are harming productivity, but also you're hurting the workers. So as an employer, that's a clear sign to get sacked. People should be able to live their lives without ever having to deal with money. I mean, obviously, in a utopian society, we shouldn't have to deal with anything. But like, no, I disagree. Using artificial intelligence to better plan production is worth investigating. This is called DozenValues. To better plan production is worth investigating. Yeah, but unless this leads to people getting laid off. Because you could, like, I think if you use AI to improve productivity, it's a good thing, unless that comes at the expense of the working people, because then that's just a means to increase the profits of the corporate owners and increase wealth inequality, in which case it's not good. So I think it's worth investigating, sure, but I'll go neutral because it's complicated. Declaring your territory to be independent from government authority is legitimate. It depends on the context, depends on the process of which it's done by, and also depends on the reason as to why you want to be independent. But for the most part, I'll disagree, because I can't just like say, all right, everyone who's in my house now is independent from the country. We've got our own laws. I can do what I want. No, regulations can often harm the people they aim to protect. Sometimes, but I think that's not what often happens with regulation. Men make better leaders than women. Disagree. What makes them better? Hierarchy should be dismantled. Depends on the hierarchy. If it's an oppressive hierarchy, then yes. If it's just simply enforcing, which of course they can go hand in hand, so I'll go neutral. I don't think they should be dismantled. I think they should just be taken accountable for, if that makes sense. Government surveillance is an unnecessary evil. Strongly disagree. We should be skeptical of new technologies. Strongly agree. Welfare for disabled people should be cut. Disagree. In an ideal society, money would not exist. Yeah, but what does this do? What does this do, bro? Because we're never going to live in an ideal society. I think we can move towards it. I think we can try to move towards it. That's why I believe in democracy. But I think an ideal society won't exist, because even if we reach it, we'll find a way for it not to be ideal. So I guess I'll go slightly disagree, but executive committees are an efficient way of handling large economic entities. I guess you could say they are efficient. I'll go agree. Subsidies should be given to agrarian producers and those who wish to become ones. All right, again, I'm going to need help from you lot. What's an agrarian producer? What's an agrarian producer? Farmer. So agriculture, okay. Subsidy should be given. But I mean, what? Just for the sake, you become a farmer and you get instant money from the government? I'm not against loans, but subsidies, I think actually, I mean, it depends, because it's a crucial industry. I guess, yeah, I could slightly agree, but I don't think it's the biggest. I don't think it's the biggest priority. If someone is forced to claim, don't ignore my question. Are you native British? I'm not native British, bro. I don't know why you keep asking. If someone is forced to claim an area of land, they are entitled to profit from it. Someone is forced to claim an area of land, they are entitled to profit from it. Of course, you would agree with immigration, bro. I'm not even gonna bother. If someone is forced to claim an area of land, they're entitled to profit from it. Yeah. I mean, what does claiming land mean, though? What does claiming land mean? Like claiming land legally, just saying, putting a flag down? I don't know. Because if there's people there who were living there, but they didn't legally claim it, you can't just claim it and profit off of them at their expense. So someone was entitled to profit from it. I'll go neutral. Biological parenting is no better than adoption or communal parenting. Is no better than adoption or communal parenting. But it's so nuanced, because it depends. You get biological parents who are awful, and you get adoptive parents who are very good, and communal parents who are very good. So I'm going to slightly agree. I don't think it's worse. I don't think biological. I just don't think it's a fixed thing. We should not attempt to mess with nature. I agree. I think we've done too much already, though. Life without the state would be nasty, brutish, and short. I agree. Local governments should be more powerful than national governments. Disagree, although I do think devolution is good. Workers in essential parts of the economy should not be allowed to strike. No, I think they should. Independent websites should not be required to tolerate content that violates their policy. Should not be required to tolerate content. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you can decide what your own policy is. Taxes should exist on harmful products to discourage their consumption. Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, that's a good idea, I think. That's kind of what the whole argument is with the legalization of marijuana. You legalize marijuana and you tax it to disincentivize it, but also to reinvest. So yeah, I agree. If people want to live unhealthy lifestyles, it is their right to do so. Yes, it is their right to do so, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, like directly. We should encourage against it, but at the end of the day, it is just their choice. Depends on if it affects other people, exactly. But then I just think, just living in, for example, a sedentary lifestyle, you don't do any exercise, you just sit in bed all day. I wouldn't encourage it. No one really encourages it, but it is their choice. A singular world government is desirable. This is a question for another century, because we are so far off of this, or we're so far off of even discussing the pros and cons of this. But a singular world government is desirable. I'll go disagree. What about the stress on the health service? That's a good point. However, that's why I say don't enforce living a healthy lifestyle. Just encourage it, because when you start enforcing people's lifestyles, that is a slippery slope. Political correctness has gone too far. Strongly disagree. We do not live in a politically correct world at all. We just don't. I don't know what that's saying. Anyways, wealth accumulation leads to the creation of an oppressive class. I agree. The Industrial Revolution was a required step in history. Well, it was a step that happened. There's no point looking back on it and saying, "Oh, it shouldn't have happened. It should have happened." Like it was an era that shaped where we are today. So I guess I'll just go neutral. I think we could have managed without it. We could have just adapted, but we also have to put up with it now. All marginalized minorities, yeah, I guess you could say it was inevitable. All marginalized minorities should act in solidarity with each other. I think everybody should act in solidarity with each other. But yeah, we should return to a simpler, less materialistic way of living. I sympathize with that idea. I think a lot of things are over-commodified. Physical violence should be used against those who oppose my views. Disagree. The right to start a business is fundamental to any thriving economy. Agree. I think everybody should have the right to start a business. That's why I believe in lowering wealth inequality, so working and middle-class people can also start their own businesses and succeed. An individual should be allowed to do whatever they want with their own body. Again, I don't think anything that somebody does to their own body should be punished by law, but it shouldn't be encouraged either. Like, certain things shouldn't be encouraged. But I think if this means like abortion or, for example, transgenders, I agree. That's such a social democrat thing to say. I appreciate the gifts that people have sent me. Sorry, I don't notice it in the moment, but I appreciate it. It's their body, they have the right to. Yeah. Society must unite behind a central authority in order to be cohesive. Agree. Nature has no inherent value. I mean, if nature has no inherent value, then what does have inherent value? Nature brings a lot of value to society, to the world. It's the air we breathe. The nation comes before all else. It depends again on the moment. This quiz is called DozenValues. It depends on the context. If my nation is committing war crimes, I'd rather my nation didn't come before anything else. But if it's the safety of my nation, if I'm the one that's suffering from the war crimes, then yeah, we should prioritize our safety. So I'll go neutral. It's not healthy for children to be raised by gay couples. Again, I disagree, because with this whole argument, it just depends. You can have awful heterosexual parents and very good gay parents, and other way around. It's just how you parent. There are moral rules which should never be broken. But we decide them. I don't think they're predetermined. I think we decide the moral rules, and I don't think they should be broken. So I guess I agree. Discrimination against obese people is unacceptable. I agree. You shouldn't discriminate against anybody. All drugs should be decriminalized. Disagree. Workers should have more of the same production. Strongly agree. Women are naturally more nurturing than men. Naturally more nurturing than men. I mean, there are hormones that do suggest that they are more nurturing than men, and they are, like, physically, they do have a tighter bond with the child. So I'll slightly agree, because again, I think it is possible for a man to be more nurturing than a woman, but I think women are. In general, I would agree. All workers worldwide deserve to be freed from capitalism. They deserve to not be exploited. I think there is a world, but I mean, capitalism in its state right now does bring exploitation. So I guess I'll go neutral. They do deserve to be freed from the exploitation that capitalism brings, for sure. Like-minded individuals should form self-governing communities. Like-minded individuals should form self-governing communities. No. Because these like-minded individuals could be terrorists, could be extremist groups. Just because they're like-minded doesn't mean they should have autonomy. Self-employment is a net positive for everyone involved. Everyone involved? What, just so you're yourself? Who's involved in self-employment? Or does it just mean society? Self-employment is a net positive. This is the last question, by the way. Self-employment is a net positive for everyone involved. I'm going to slightly disagree. I just don't know what it means. Closest match, Labourism. Next match is Gorbachevism, Democratic Socialism, Social Corporatism, 21st Century Socialism. Do I think ICE is using dog whistles to subtly transition America to ethnic cleansing? Strongly agree. Labourism. Interesting. I actually haven't heard that term before. Democratic Socialism is a term I've heard. And I do have a lot of ideas which sympathize with democratic socialism. Let's see this then. This is interesting. This site is called DozenValues. It's a good test. Some of the questions are phrased a bit oddly, but that's the same with all these politics tests, I can't lie. Like, they're all flawed. Opinions on communism. I sympathize with a lot of ideas that motivate communism, but I don't necessarily agree with the solution in practice. It's not the questions are terrible. Yeah, but the questions on all political tests are kind of odd. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. All right, let's go through this. Equality 65%, property 34%. That sounds about right. Coordination 68, commerce 32. Sounds about right. This is the part of the live when everyone joins saying how wrong you are. Yeah. Happens every time, bro. People don't watch me actually answering the questions. They come in and call me a communist or a liberal. Dominion 63%, 38% anarchy. Permission 55%, 45% restriction. Okay, so that's quiet. All right, so ownership access collective, market access regulated, power access unified, autonomy access limiting, identity access inclusive. Okay, very inclusive. You'd be better just reading and seeing who you agree with. I agree with you. I think that's one of the things I got to improve on. I got to read more. I do. I'm not knowledgeable enough on political theory. And I'll hold my hands up. I'm just lazy. It's a poor excuse. I've actually, funny enough, a lot of you are going to like this. Some of you might hate this. I've got this book. sitting literally right beside me. I haven't started reading it yet. It's going to be flipped, but it basically says Capital, the Communist Manifesto, and other writings by Karl Marx. I haven't started reading it yet. This doesn't mean I'm becoming a communist. This doesn't mean I am a communist. I just want to get more informed. And I think everybody should read things that they agree with and disagree with. Progress Axis Conventional. I'm more on the heritage side than I am on the novelty side. That's interesting. Always good to read different things. Exactly. Okay, so that's that. We just did 2 tests today. Very productive. And a lot of you joined and spoke. I appreciate that a lot. You should read The One-Dimensional Man next. I don't know if you're talking to me, but if you are, then I'll certainly try to remember that name. I appreciate the suggestion. And I appreciate all of you who joined, the 19 followers that we gained as well, the 9,000 likes. This is probably the best live I've done so far. Social democracy is good, but its critique is normally its exploitation of the third world. So what's the problem there? The criticism of social democracy is the exploitation of the third world. Okay, fair enough. Done like 4 tests and given 4 different identities. Yeah, that's the thing, bro. I did political compass where I got left libertarian. I did yesterday the 8 values where I got social democrat. I did the SappyValues test earlier, which gave me left authoritarian. And I did this today, which gives me labourism and democratic socialism. So that just shows the subjectivity and the varying criteria for these tests. I personally like it though. If you're talking about social democracy, I'd agree with you. What's Gorbachevism? Can anybody educate me on Gorbachevism? I've never heard that term before. It sounds Russian, so I assume it's probably got something to do with the Soviet Union, potentially communism. Is it socialism? Let me actually just search it up. Gorbachevism. Political and ideological reforms initiated by Gorbachev, the final leader of the Soviet Union, characterized by liberalization, openness, and restructuring. Late 80s US ideology, their last leader, Gorbachev. Okay. You should do nuanced PCM tests because you can write your thinking then AI picks your ideology. I've actually had somebody suggest that in my comments before, a couple months ago, and I forgot about it. I will do that. I don't know if I'll do that on stream because I don't know if you don't want to see that. It's kind of boring just watching me write essays. But I should definitely do that. That's a good shout. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, lads. I think I'm going to hop off now. But thank you, everybody who joined. I appreciate it a lot. We had some good conversations, like always. And if you're not following, follow me, if you don't mind. And I hope you have a good rest of your days. Or evenings, or whatever. Or mornings, depending on where you are. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Maybe tomorrow. And yeah.